Hollywood actress Emma Watson, who's best known for playing Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series, is now changing her tune on J.K. Rowling after publicly feuding with her over the trans movement for years upon years now. She's now saying she can love somebody with a differing opinion, which is funny because she couldn't say that in 2020 or 2021 or 2022 or 2023 or 2024, and we're now getting it in 2025. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe because today we're going to be talking about Emma Watson. Now, Emma Watson recently appeared on the Jay Shetty podcast to sort of clear the air on her life, her career, and her take on J.K. Rowling, I guess. Before we get into that, let me go ahead and refresh your memory as to the public beef between Emma Watson and J.K. Rowling. Now, as we all know, J.K. Rowling is a very adamant voice against the trans movement these days. She says that men are men and women are women, and she's trying to protect women's privacy, their rights, their spaces from men who are going to try to self-identify as women. Now, Emma Watson has not been a fan of this, and she's not been a fan of this for a really long time. In 2020, she said this: "Trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are." She's also paraded herself around wearing t-shirts that say trans rights are human rights, and at the BAFTAs in 2022, Emma Watson said this:
"I'm here for all of the witches."
Okay, now if you didn't catch that last part, she says, "I'm here for all of the witches," meaning, I'm protecting the dolls. I'm here for women and men who identify as women and, the like. And she says, bar one. And of course, that bar one was a strong dig at J.K. Rowling, saying, "I support all women, trans women are women, except for that J.K. Rowling." So there you have it. Now I'm going to get into her comments on the Jay Shetty podcast, which her view has clearly shifted. So let's watch.
Could ever cancel her out or cancel that out for anything. It has to remain true. It is true. And this is where this holding of these, I just don't know what else to do other than hold these two seemingly incompatible things together at the same time and just hope maybe they will one day resolve or co-join themselves, and maybe accept that they never will, but that they can both still be true. And I can love her. I can know she loved me. I can be grateful to her. I can know the things that she said are true. And that can be this whole other thing. And my job feels like to just hold all of it. But the bigger thing is just what she's done will never be taken away from me.
Now, first things first, I don't want to come off like I'm attacking Emma Watson or saying that this statement is outright wrong. If she's truly come around on her view towards J.K. Rowling and she's found that she can recognize the love, appreciation, and gratitude that she feels towards her, then that's absolutely wonderful. I myself was a former leftist and decided that those views were not for me, and I'm glad that people welcomed me when I came around. However, I hope that this is genuine and this is not just a movement towards the now more popularized idea towards J.K. Rowling, because it seems that in the 5 years or more that J.K. Rowling has been speaking up about this sort of public opinion of her view has changed and shifted, and it's now become more acceptable to support J.K. Rowling within the public sphere. And coincidentally, that's when Emma Watson goes on the Jay Shetty podcast to give this now nuanced take on the matter. So I do hope that it's earnest. I do hope that it's genuine. And in this sort of acknowledgement of being able to love and feel appreciation towards J.K. Rowling, I would have wished that she would have acknowledged the times that she didn't show love towards J.K. Rowling, like that time at the BAFTAs that I showed you, where she literally said, "I support all witches bar one," meaning she outwardly stated that she could not support in any way, shape, or form J.K. Rowling, the woman who, let's be honest, is responsible for Emma Watson's career. Future Amelie here to actually add an update because J.K. Rowling has responded to Emma Watson today, and you'll notice the background's a little different. The studio's moving around, so bear with me, but let's get into her response. She says, "I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. When you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech, and in truth, that was a turning point for me. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, "I'm so sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number." This was when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high-street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed-sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into the women's prison? I wasn't a millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that, had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Adults can expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love, as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me, and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right, and I finally decided to exercise it. So there you go. Honestly, I don't think I need to expand on the statement she's made. I'm pretty sure it speaks for itself, and it is pretty damning. J.K. Rowling also said this in April of 2024. I guess she sort of prepared for the idea that celebrities would be apologizing to her on this topic, and said that they should, quote, save their apologies. She goes on to say, after being asked, quote, what actors/actress instantly ruin a movie for you, she replies, 3 guesses. Sorry, but that was irresistible. And of course, she means Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, who all sort of threw her under the bus on the gender debate and said that she was not worthy of being listened to and that they disagreed with her, which is so fascinating because there are so many ways in which J.K. Rowling contributed to the careers of these 3 young people, and they couldn't for a moment, because they disagreed with her on this particular issue, allow a bit of support, a bit of nuance, and just an open discussion on the matter. So there you have it. Now, J.K. Rowling has also tweeted this out recently, and this may or may not be a reference to Emma Watson. It does sort of seem like it. She says, quote, a little reminder for anybody who may be regretting their public sprint to the front of the mob and is now trying to discreetly shove their pitchforks out of sight, which is kind of what she's doing. I mean, she's publicly going on the Jay Shetty podcast to discuss this, but she's not discussing the little ways in which she dug at J.K. Rowling before this matter. And as I said before, you know, I'm all for it if she's had a shift in opinion, or at least a shift in view of J.K. Rowling here. But we're gonna have to unpack all the things that took place before. And eventually, I think things are gonna go even further than this. The likes of Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, they're going to look back on their support of the trans movement, see all the issues that have arisen out of it, and really reframe the way they've treated J.K. Rowling in this very moment. Now, are they going to publicly take accountability for the ways they've treated her, the way they ousted her, the way they pushed her aside, even though she's the main contributor of their careers? Probably not, let's be honest. And of course, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes here. I can only infer based on the responses from J.K. and what Emma Watson has said on this podcast. But when you go and make a sort of public display of your love and appreciation, and it seems like that display has not happened on a person-to-person basis, a little bit of red flags flying for me there. I can't say for sure, but it doesn't seem like they've reconciled personally. So how does somebody go on a podcast and give this deeply personal espousal of love and then not have done that on a person-to-person basis? These are just questions that I have. Now, of course, the wicked part of this that always takes place is the left, in large part, is now abandoning Emma Watson for having spoken about J.K. Rowling in a positive light, which is what happens when you, even for a moment, support somebody who goes against the dogma of the left. I'm going to get into some blue sky responses, and we can all imagine how that app is going to be responding to this. Blue Jay says, as with Emma Watson, Donald Trump would have never been president if he didn't have the power of people constantly talking about him and beefing about him to generate that media power he needed to become POTUS. Quit talking about bacteria. They're really not that fucking important. And we used the word quick instead of quick, and we used the wrong there. But that's okay over at Blue Sky. Amy P says, very bad take from Emma Watson. She is showing that she is no ally. She used trans rights to boost her career. Now she's abandoning us when we need her. She needs to apologize or face consequences. You just can't win, dude. This is ridiculous. Next one. It's a pity Emma Watson decided to equivocate about fascism. Oh, well, at least we've still got Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, the one who's like running around supporting transitioning children. At least you still got that guy. Marlon says, well, Emma Watson can right on off. Bigotry and Christo-fascist anti-science viewpoints are not opinions or disagreements. It's just bigotry and willful ignorance, and extremely dangerous to the safety of minorities. Okay. Well, these four blue sky leftists have left Emma Watson behind. Not that they ever had her back to begin with, but here we are. There really is no winning. And I will give that to Emma Watson. It's such a tough thing to be speaking on, period. But she did sort of go out of her way to make these massive digs at J.K. Rowling. It wasn't like she was dragged into a conversation about the trans movement and about J.K. Rowling in particular. She chose to put on the t-shirt saying trans rights are human rights. She chose to go to the BAFTAs and say that she supports all witches bar one. She chose to tweet about trans people and, you know, their equalness when it comes to their identity when compared to that of women. And she then chose to go on the Jay Shetty podcast and make this statement about J.K. Rowling. Now, this is the nicest statement she's made so far, but it's still not a direct reference to every way in which she treated her poorly prior. And there we are. Now the left is, I guess, going to leave her behind because she's supporting a transphobe, even though she says she still disagrees with her. And Emma Watson, very interestingly in the Jay Shetty podcast, says that I hope people can still love me when they disagree with me. And she's probably going to learn from the left really quickly. But that's not possible. That's not within their framework of capabilities, typically. Guys, that's the update. We'll see what happens here. And, you know, more so, I think people should just handle this person to person, peer to peer. Maybe we'll learn that lesson one day. Guys, drop your thoughts in the comments down below how you feel about this whole Emma Watson, J.K. Rowling situation. Do you accept the, not apology, but sort of I still love her message that we're getting from Emma Watson here? I'll take it if it's genuine. It doesn't seem like it's supported by anything that makes it genuine, but we'll wait and we will see. If you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day, typically. And I will see you guys next time. Let me know your thoughts down below. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.